So in this video today, we're going to be sharpening this Bench-made pocket knife. You want to inspect the knife to see how sharp it is to determine what grit you want to start with. If you have a knife that's very dull, you want to start out with a lower grit stone that's going to wear away more material. If you have something that's already quite sharp, you don't need to wear away a lot of material, and you would want to start with a higher grit stone. So this knife is already fairly sharp, but not that sharp, and so I'm going to start it out on a 1000 grit stone. I've got my nice little bottle of water. I'm going to lubricate the stone and get down to it. There's a couple methods for the motion of sharpening. One method is just going up and down in a straight line, and the other one is to make a sweeping motion like this. Now, I like to employ both. If you see on this knife, down here by the heel is quite flat, but as you go up here, it becomes more curved up to the tip. And so if you just do a straight up and down motion on something that's curved, you're going to end up with little flat spots all the way up, which you don't want. So if you make a sweeping motion, that ensures that the whole length of the blade is being sharpened and there's no flat spots. But down here where it's already flat, it's okay, so you could go up and down. That's totally fine. So you want to make sure that you are matching the angle that's already ground into your knife to the angle that you're holding it on the stone. Because the angle that you hold the knife against the stone will determine the new bevel angle that you grind into it, which you usually want to be the same as what came from the factory. So we're just going to do that now. The best way is just to look at it very carefully, look at the edge, and just bring the knife up to the point where you don't see any shadow between the knife edge and the stone. And you can usually feel that, and that's when you know that the edge is touching the stone. You really want to be very aware of that angle the whole time that you're sharpening. So we're just going to go match that angle. We're going to do some nice sweeping motions. As you're sharpening, you want to use a fair amount of pressure in pushing against the stone. And as you're sharpening, you want to make sure that you press in as you're pushing away from the edge, and release pressure when you come back. When I sharpen like this, it looks like I'm just going forwards and backwards, but I'm actually varying the pressure as I go. I'm pushing down forwards and I'm releasing to come back. And I don't know if you can hear it in the video, but there is a difference in the sound as I'm going. Maybe you can hear it. Can you hear it? A little bit of difference. Now after a while, you can feel the side and see if there's any burr. Is there a burr forming? When you remove material from one side, it pushes some material up, curves up, and that is what's called a burr. You can feel it. When you start to feel the burr, you want to keep going until you can feel the burr all along the whole edge of your blade. Once that happens, you can flip your knife over and do the other side. Okay, I can feel the burr all the way along. It's time to flip it over. Now, for me, I like to just flip it over like this. Some people maybe are more ambidextrous, they can go like this. It doesn't matter as long as it's comfortable for you. You employ the same method as you did before, pushing down as you pull away from the edge of the blade and releasing as you go forwards. Okay? Now, it's very important that you try and have the same amount of pressure on the surface of your knife as you sharpen the whole length. You don't want to push down only here and wear away more material here than you do over here. Because then the edge of your blade will get divots in it, and it won't look very nice, won't sharpen up properly. You don't want to do that. So it's good to support the knife, at least in the middle. I usually hold it in as many places as I can, and definitely support it more in the place that you're sharpening. So if you're sharpening the tip, support it closer to the tip. If you're sharpening maybe closer to the heel, support closer to the heel. On something so small like this pocket knife, it's not so important, but it definitely improves the quality and the finish, especially on the larger knives. So we'll wash this up. I'm just beside the sink, so it's nice and easy. And we'll try and get a nice close-up here. Okay. So there's the edge. Can you see any light reflected off the edge? Yeah, a little bit of light, especially off the tip right there. But that is the basics of knife sharpening. You're gonna use that method all the way through the different grits of stone. So you work from coarse grit to fine grit. If you have something like this combination stone, usually you can go from the coarse side to the fine side, and if you have more than one stone, then you can work your way from one to the other. So that's the scoop.